Okay, question 10. We, of course, had to get mildly political because that's the way these solo podcasts have gone for a while now. Thoughts on 16-year-olds being given the vote in the UK? First of all, we'll be upfront about my bias. I'm against it because if you're not old enough to buy alcohol or cigarettes or get a tattoo or serve in a jury, get a credit card, then I'm going to question whether you're able to be adult enough, and adult's the key term, to vote in shaping the democratic future of the country. I just don't understand where you can have this cutoff for all these different important potential life decisions and yet voting fall beneath that. And if I was to try and steelman the argument for 16-year-olds getting the vote, you could say that, for example, in Scotland, 16-year-olds can get married. That's a big decision. They can join the army. So that's huge decisions. And equally, many of the political decisions that will be made by the people who have been elected will impact their future. But at what point or at what stage do you cut that off? Because you could say, for example, that 13-year-olds in first year at secondary school will be impacted by the policy decisions of the education department. So should they be able to vote specifically on what happens within the education department in the country? Where on earth do you draw the line? Oh, 16-year-olds are going to be impacted by a referendum on Brexit or Scottish independence. Of course they are, but so are 13-year-olds, so are 14-year-olds. Where do we have this arbitrary cutoff for who should be allowed to vote and when? And for me, I think 18 is already young enough. Many of the people at 18 already lack real world experience to know what a sensible vote at the ballot box looks like. With voting, the genie is already out of the bottle, or maybe more fittingly, Pandora's box is already open. And if anything, if you look at our political culture, we probably need tighter rules on voting, whether that's by ID at the ballot box for starters, but you could even go further and say that 21 would be a better start point because most people by 21 have finished full-time education, so they've quote-unquote grown up in some regard. Or probably one of my more controversial takes is that I don't think it would be a bad idea for only those who pay tax to vote. So if you're not contributing to society through taxation, then perhaps you have no say whatsoever in the decision making and how people spend that budget that you're allocating towards them. And I think there's merit in having a parameter like that. And if you haven't held down a job or experienced tax and you're not sure the way of the world and how it looks and what it's like, then I'm not sure you're actually well placed to vote on how the country operates. And something that is important to note is that these policies of lowering the voting age are typically positioned by leftist parties like the SNP or like Labour, because young people are more likely to be socialist or left-leaning in their nature, just by nature of their perhaps lack of experience of the real world. And by Labour or SNP or whoever introducing younger voters, they're actually shoring up their voting base for now and into the future. And it's another reason that controversially, these parties typically favour mass immigration too, because economic migrants who intend to utilise the support of the state, their future children will be more likely to vote left because they'll allocate a bigger budget towards that. And I think people who paid attention to the US election saw that the Biden administration were looking to bus or move particular groups into swing states because that would position the Democrats to win now or into the future. And I'd be very worried at the government's approach to trying to shape the demographic of the election and the electorate and stack the deck in their favour for perhaps the election in a few years' time or elections well beyond that as well. I hope you enjoyed that clip. For more on my channel, hit the link just here, subscribe, and you can enjoy the full episode.